Welcome, everybody, to Secret Sauce, the show where we unpack business tips, life hacks, and advice from industry leaders. I'm Karly Iacono. Today, I am joined by Stacey Mooney, the CEO and founder of Retail Live. Stacey, it is so good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome, Karly. I feel so honored that you've asked me to join you today. Thank you so much. I have
So
been an
kind.
admirer of yours from afar for a long time.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And likewise, you have founded this incredible conference series in a really competitive space. So, major kudos to you.
Oh,
Very
thank you.
impressed with everything that you've achieved. And I just learned from you that you are coming up on 10 years of Retail Live. What an
Yeah,
incredible accomplishment.
it's crazy. Time flies. The older we get, the faster it goes. So yes, we're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary next week in Austin. It'll be 10 years since we started. It's pretty
Wow,
exciting.
congratulations. And a
Thank
good
you.
place to celebrate too.
Yes, it's
It'll
a
be a
great place.
big success.
Yes.
So share with us a little bit about Retail Live, why you started it, how it's different from other conferences, and what you were hoping to achieve when you put it together.
So 10 years ago, I moved to Austin, Texas to head up the leasing division for a brokerage company there. And I was in this unique position where I didn't know the retailers. I didn't know the players. I had been in Florida for the majority of my career prior to that move. And I was really looking for a way to kind of make my mark quickly and get to know the players in that market. And I just thought, well, I'm going to start a conference in Austin. Who doesn't want to come to Austin?
I love that,
It was really
right?
just it was an idea that I did not admittedly put a lot of thought in. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to do this. And I had gone to the principals of the company, and it really started as a conference that I thought the company that I worked for at the time was going to be behind. And they were supportive of it, but of course they had their day job as I did. And so every time I would try to kind of advance the conversation, it would just kind of get kicked down the road, so to speak. And so one day I was just like, to heck with it, I'm just going to do it myself. And, thank
Amazing.
God I did, because that was when Retail Life started. And so I just started calling, the major players in the market, brokerage companies and developers, et cetera. They all signed on pretty quickly. We had over 100 retailers that first show, which is
Wow.
just mind blowing to me
That's
today,
a
even
lot,
still 10
right?
years later. We had, I think, something like 25 sponsors, all the majors participated. And really from there is obviously where it grew. I kind of thought to myself, if it works in this market, why can't it work in other markets? I, again, had been in the business in Florida and understood that market and thought, I want to see where this can go. And so that's where Retail Life started. And it was also started, I had this idea that conferences could be better.
Mhm.
And by better for me, which is an individual taste, some people like the rushed meeting driven, meeting heavy type conferences. For me, and again, as I've gotten older, I really am about quality over quantity in meetings. And I felt like the conferences were getting more and more bogged down with what you had to prepare to bring, advanced meetings, just the stress of going to those, which I felt
Mhm.
like took away from what I wanted it to be, which was really networking. And by that I mean actually meeting people that I didn't already know. I
Mhm.
think a lot of us, when we go to conferences, and I was certainly guilty of this when I was younger in the business, you would set meetings with people that you felt comfortable with, that you already knew. You would tend to, how many times have you seen groups of people walk around a conference together? You see one person,
Right,
you'll see them together at the next,
right.
conference.
Event, right?
It's their security
Mhm.
blanket. But really what I want people to feel like when they come to Retail Live is that it's laid back, it's casual, there is literally no pressure. I believe that that kind of environment leads to more organic networking, the kind of networking that we're really there for, which again is to meet new people, learn about new opportunities, and feel comfortable approaching someone that we don't know. It's funny, we're all in it, obviously in sales in some way or another, and yet I think we'd all admit there's times we're really intimidated to just walk up and talk to somebody new. And I think that our conferences again, they're really fun. And I wanted that to be something that distinguished us from, our competition, which is that, come to Retail Live, don't feel like you have to have days and days and weeks of preparation. Just come with the intent of meeting new people and learning about new opportunities. And we hope we create an environment that is, conducive to that.
I love that. And you also have them in fantastic locations, which was just good foresight on your part.
Well, it's like, where do I want to travel to? Okay, that's
Right.
where we'll host a Retail Live.
Perfect. Yeah, good planning. And just going back to when you first started it, I think it takes incredible guts to say, I'm going to start out in this business different. I'm not going to cold call like everybody else. And maybe you did that too. But instead, I'm just going to start a conference. So all my potential clients come to me. That is amazing. So just wanted to touch on that again, that I love your drive and ambition when you were founding it. I think that's incredible.
Thank
So
you.
it's obviously
Thank you.
paid off, but great job thinking outside the box in a
Thank
really,
you.
really big way. So Retail Live, huge success. It's grown. What do the conferences look like now from an attendee standpoint? Are you getting third parties, brokers, tenants? Like who really seems to be your core target?
Well, I think there's two sides of that, right? There are our exhibitors, which are all retailers that are actively expanding in the markets where we're hosting the events. They tend to be a regional play. So in the case of our show next week in Austin, it covers the state of Texas, Oklahoma, and we do actually get some folks from like Southern California and Arizona, but it's predominantly the Texas market. So we have the retailers, which are our exhibitors. 95% of our exhibitors are retailers. The other 5% is made up of sponsors. And then our attendees, of course, are the people that are trying to pitch sites to those retailers. So yes, it's brokers, developers, landlords, other tenant representatives that are maybe trying to get a new account. They want to see the retailers that are kind of emerging in that market. And so they go. And we have a little bit of, ancillary services folks that show up, but that's kind of another thing that I like to think is different about our conferences. I have a lot of groups that will call me that say, hey, I heard about Retail Live, and I'm making this up as an example, although this has actually happened. Maybe it's a painting company, right? And they think, oh, wow, this is great. There's tons of commercial real estate people in there, and there's retailers who are growing, and they want to pitch their services to our exhibitors and our attendees. And I'm just really straightforward with them and tell them, listen, this isn't your audience. These are deal makers. These are real estate people. That's what we want at our shows. It's not to say that we don't want to be unwelcoming to other people, but our focus, my focus, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says commercial real estate matchmaker. I want deals to come out of Retail Live. And so we want our exhibitors to feel like the people that are approaching them at their booths are people that have potential sites for them. And so, it really is at the core of it. Again, quality over quantity. We don't sit there and say, oh, we've got 4,000 people at this show, because that's kind of a skewed number. Of those 4,000 people, how many of those people are actually deal makers? We are a commercial real estate conference event. We are a deal making event. We want the deal makers there. So, we may have less by comparison, but we like to think that, the deal makers are at our shows, and that's really our focus.
Refreshing. I love it. Just such a time saver, right?
Yeah.
If you are there to get deals done,
Yeah.
A lot less digging through, which is great.
Yeah.
So because you run these conferences all over the country, I would love to hear any trends that you're seeing. Is there something you're seeing that carries across regions, or is every conference just very different because it's so localized?
So, they're pretty consistent. It's very interesting. I shared obviously with you a little bit earlier. We have right now every show we've done. So we've already hosted 2 events so far this year. We are in obviously preparation mode for Austin next week, and we've already started the marketing for our Nashville show, which is in October. And what has become very apparent, it was actually towards the end of last year and carried over into this year, is holy cow, there are a lot of car washes out there looking for sites. They are everywhere. I mean, seriously, I think we went from, maybe we had like 1 or 2, I think, in the past. I mean, I don't even know for sure that that's even true, to having, we've got 5 or 6 active car
At
wash
least, I'm sure.
chains at
Mhm,
every show. I told
mhm.
it really is. It's like, it's the new yogurt shop.
Right.
There are several cookie concepts that seem to be kind of taking over. Obviously, Crumble is the one
Mhm.
that everybody knows, but
Right.
we're hearing a lot about different cookie concepts. You got Dirty Dough. There's another one that is escaping me right now,
Mm.
but that seems to be a trend. So it does seem to carry over from, one market to another, which is interesting. If we see a trend at one of the shows, we know it's going to be at the other shows. It's pretty fascinating. I'd love to say that it's regional, but it's not. I think they carry on. They catch on pretty quick.
I was gonna say, for as different as we all are in different parts of this country, it all is really the same. So,
Yes.
you're right. That kind of goes
Our
back to
space is small.
Mhm.
It's a small group of people, and I think that's kind of reflective in even in our audience. I will say we see people that they go to, for example, they go to the Orlando show and they're
Right.
looking for retailers that are expanding. And what we find is folks from like Texas will now come to the Florida show because they know if those folks are in Florida, they're probably coming to Texas and
Exactly.
vice versa.
Mhm.
I feel like growth happens in Texas and goes out to the coast, or it starts on the coast and it comes into Texas. Those markets are very key markets in my experience, of the retailers that are expanding and are active. They're starting in one of those three states.
Right. And I would bet probably up and down the East Coast too. Like I'm sure you
Yes.
see flow, right, from
Yep.
Florida, then up the East Coast to the Carolinas, to New York, et cetera.
Definitely.
So, yeah,
Definitely.
fascinating patterns.
Yes.
On the personal side, any life hacks, business tips, advice, anything you do day to day that makes you more productive or has contributed to your success?
Well, this is kind of, I feel like people talk about this a lot and it's kind of a buzzword and you hear about it as persistence. I will tell you that if you're on the real estate side and you've tried to get the attention of a retailer, most times it's very difficult. That is true in my quote unquote day job as a broker. And it is certainly true in my job as the owner of Retail Live. I do not take no for an answer the first 5 times. I mean, I'm pushing that to the line almost of being afraid to ask again, having it be really uncomfortable for me, obviously
Right.
doing it in a respectful way. But what I have found, I have countless stories throughout my career, whether that's again on the brokerage side or in Retail Live, where I have let's call it solicited somebody for business in one way or the other, whether it's, trying to get a deal done on the brokerage side or trying to get a retailer to participate. And I have been told no. And I ask again, and I'm no, thank you. And I ask again. And, I literally have an example. Just 2 weeks ago, I'd been bothering a particular group to be a sponsor of the Austin program, and
Okay.
they were interested. And when it came down to it, they said, we just feel like it's a little too close, and we're going to pass this year, but we want to, please keep us in mind for next year. We want to do it next year. And I tried one more time, and guess what? They signed up. That was probably the
Oh,
fifth or sixth time I had bothered them.
good
So I
job.
guess my life hack would be, what I also see, and Karly, I don't know if you see this, I see a lot of people give up way too
Hmm.
easy. It's like,
Hmm.
you call on a space, for example, and they say, I'm sorry, we can't do that because we have a restriction.
Right.
Press a little further. Why? Who? Can we get a
Mhm.
waiver? I feel like leasing agents, a lot of times they just want to say no and move on. And I have just found, again, countless times that asking just one more time till they're almost mad that
Right.
you're asking is the time that the time that you make it happen.
I love that. I agree. And I think not taking it personally is a huge one, no matter which
Yeah.
part of the business you're in, right? That no is maybe just no right now, to your
Right.
point. So
Right.
being
And sometimes
professional, but
people
persistent.
are busy and they're in a hurry and they just want to respond and they're not stopping to think. And so, not that they're not thinking, but they just kind of want to clear that email out, you know?
Right.
And so I
Exactly.
think, I guess the other thing I would say to that is, a key component of that is asking them why. So when a retailer says
Right.
to me, no, not interested, I always, always follow that up with, I'm sure there's 1,000 of them that would raise their hand right now and vouch for this. Can I ask you why?
Right.
What's your reason? Is it your schedule? Are you not expanding in this market? Do you not
Right.
even understand what Retail Live is? What's
Right.
your reason for no?
Right.
Because you have to understand the no to overcome the no, right? And so I think that's a really important part of that persistence in asking the question again.
I think that's the tagline. Understand the no to get past the no. Right.
Yeah,
I
that's a
like
good
that.
one.
It's a great, yeah.
Yeah.
You coined it. You get full credit for that. I like
All right.
it.
All right. Good.
It's a good quote. Good quote.
Yeah.
Stacey, this has been so much fun. I really enjoyed learning more about Retail Live. I'm sure all of our listeners did as well. And I hope to see you very soon at one of your upcoming events. Thanks
I
so
hope
much
so
for
too,
joining
Karly.
us.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thanks everyone for watching Secret Sauce. We will see you again very soon. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you, Karly.